kinds of stuff. Now take your SD grip on it and throw it in the Wii and open up the homebrew channel. Should pop right up, in which case start it and just answer the questions it throws at you. If you're using a USB device, select that. If you're using an SD card like I am, choose that one. Then just click yes through the next couple questions. Then it'll ask you to insert the disk you need to extract. So do that, you'll actually start the main process. Once it asks you for all the final information, don't overthink it. Just set the chunk size to max, set the bottom setting to no, and start the ripping process. This takes a minute usually, but once it finishes up, just take the SD card, put it back in the PC, and open up the main folder. Here you'll probably see a lot of things, but you're looking for a file that one through something. This is the file. That little code there is actually the official name that we use for each game. Now put these files, then it's one big file that's been fragmented. So we take that other cool software and then we just stitch them together, and voila, you have a full lawsuit-free copy of any game you own. Or the funny button on the completely ad-free website that's been in operation since 1997. Say, I don't know, an hour? So now we have all our games ready to play, and we're going to be going down through these games from best to worst, and get ready, starting with Absolute Domination in 2012. Coming in with a 57 out of 100, we have a guitar. It's been around for forever now. This game is so popular in the US and the British digital experience.
I'm not ready yet. 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 I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I'm out of essence. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. ready yet.
Talk about snakes for a second, please. My mind on things quick here. How about we talk about a beloved movie franchise, Alvin and the Chipmunks? I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that I like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I need more time.
This makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm not even missing evidence to when you start the game, just assumes you know. So I think the settings to discover how
I need more time. I'm not ready yet.
Obviously tough, but that also activates the trigger again. Count for a note. Walk here with some places. I saw this
I'm not ready yet. 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 I'm not ready yet.
Rated at a 30 out of 100. M&M are crazy. This is the first game I straight up just couldn't play at all. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a capture card, which is typically used for retro consoles using a PC. Since they are upscaled, they just get out like shit. So what I usually do is just legally download a copy on my PC like I showed earlier. But let me show you exactly what this game looked like in emulation. Warning, there are a ton of flashing lights, so if you're sensitive to it, I'm sure you get exactly why I didn't want to play this. So unfortunately, all of this footage is of mine. I've never played the game a day in my life. So for starters, it's a pretty typical kart racer, but you get to play as the M&Ms with weirdly cool looking karts. But if you watch the gameplay, the collision with other car drivers seems like stupidly punishing. And would you believe me if I told you there were forced motion controls? And look, with the success of Mario Kart Wii, it made a ton of sense for other game companies to try and replicate those controls. But I don't get why it's M&Ms, because they do nothing with the license. I mean, sure, there are iconic characters like Red and Yellow, but of course they still have the sexy green M&M, making Tucker Carlson proud.
Which is that
The brown M&M has both transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels, also less sexy.
Oh my god, the dialogue in this game is just incredible.
Also, like, that's good.
Most of this game are just so genuinely terrible, I struggle to find any footage of people steering these cars without crashing.
I'm not ready yet.
Instead of people playing Mario Kart 8. This looked more like people playing Mario Kart off an 8th. Now, just on account of the fact that I've never played it, I won't be too harsh on the game, but it is worth saying I found a mini documentary about a $100 bounty that resulted in the game being bizarrely optimized. It's worth a watch if you're interested in it. Every game before this point, definitely at a base level, was a video game, but from here onwards, they barely even function. Starting with the first game, coming in with a 30 out of 100 called Rock and Roll Adventures, a game where we play as a fake Elvis Presley and is more or less a collectathon, but this is the first of a few games from a development group known as Data Design Interactive, or DDI for short. DDI made around 20 games from the late 90s to early 2000s, officially closing in 2012. And in their tenure in the gaming industry, never once did they make one decent game. A few different times through this video, you'll hear me talk about this particular launch screen, the main menu. It's distinct lack of music until you hit a button. That's because through every one of their Wii games, I shit you not, they never bothered to change it. Just a color swap, logo swap, and that's it. Same music, same everything. But let's talk about this game. This is a third-person platformer where you control yourself with a nunchuck joystick and jump by shaking your phone upwards. But in a platformer, jumping is 90% of what you're doing. So very quickly, you just look like you're giving a ghost a very wild hand job. So I figured out that the game is lying to you, and you can also jump by hitting Z and press. This isn't even mentioned in the manual. What the fuck? There are controls that the game just expects you to figure out. But now watch this lobotomy gameplay. Just walk in the direction of the giant arrow in the sky and hit the objectives. No real animations or quality sound effects. Fucking Banjo-Kazooie was better than this in 1998. And don't even get me started on the combat. You get access to the worst goddamn swing ever made. Look at this. It doesn't even work half the time. But okay, the game apparently has a shooting function. And in a shocking turn of events, it requires forced motion controls. Now, surprisingly though, the shooting is the only part of this that works even somewhat close to how it was intended. I mean, the auto lock is pretty janky, but it's at least workable. But here's the kicker. It's completely optional. The in-game tutorial, once again, doesn't mention it, but you can just jump on the enemies and one-shot them. Why this wasn't brought to my attention is just beyond me. But if that's not your cup of tea, you can also just run past all the enemies anyway. No required combat, no boss fights, nothing. But if all of that doesn't bother you, there's one final nail in the coffin. And at the end of all of that work, the game's opening level is just bugged, and I can't even enter the portal for the next level after collecting everything. The base level expectation for a game is that it can be completed, and somehow the devs failed at that. I'm done with this one. I can't even stand it. All of that work for nothing. But we got to keep the ball rolling. Let's move on. Coming in with a 20 out of 100, The Ninja Bread Man. You know, clever title. I actually like this one. Oh god, not already. Not them again. Who was this made by? So let's compare the tutorials. Oh god, it's the same shit. Everything's the same. It's the same game. This is literally where my recording started and ended. 40 seconds of total recording. I know exactly what this game was going to be, and I fucking refuse to play it. So let's take a look at game number 7. Balls of Fury. Yes, based off of that Christopher Walken movie, scoring a 19 out of 100. This is a Wii ping pong game, which I actually didn't find to be that entirely awful, at least compared to everything else thus far. I mean, think about it. Wii Sports is a tennis game, but that's an absolute banger, so surely this is pretty similar, right? And I mean, it sort of is. For starters, there are multiple different characters from the movie you can pick from with unique abilities in the form of special shots. Now, I assume all of these shots are based on what the characters do in the movie. Randy has a crazy power shot, Fang has a useless teleport shot that the AI always gets anyway. It really is a great, well fleshed out system. You need to swing the Wiimote in the direction you want the ball towards, and unfortunately there's no point in actually doing techniques like a backhand since it doesn't make any impact. Obviously the game isn't amazing, but I couldn't figure out what could possibly justify a rating of 19 out of 100. Apparently this game got grilled by critics for lacking any form of quality motion controls, which I do agree with. There isn't any way to add strength to your shots by swinging harder. It's just swinging forward or backward and holding a button if you want to add spin. It's less like motion controls and more like selecting one of 4 options, making the game kind of dry. But let's talk more about the special shots. At serve, you can choose to spend a bar of meter on a unique serve that has a low likelihood of working, or you can choose to spend meter on the more powerful shots that varies to each character. I shit you not though. Half the characters don't do anything crazy. They just shake your screen a little bit, and that's the whole shot. It might sound kind of weird, but a lot of tennis and ping pong games actually really resemble fighting games and how they're reliant on characters' mix-ups and mind games, but this doesn't quite reach the potential that it has. The story mode is literally just the movie, but they chose to have a narrator talk over 240p screenshots of the film, and more than that, the actual matches in-game take fucking forever, with games being first to 11 points, winning by 2, meaning you can be in the same level for upwards of 20 rounds, which can take quite a while. Well, to be honest, this game isn't exactly good, but I'll go out on a limb and say it definitely doesn't deserve to be the 4th worst game on the list. I mean, come on, compare this to fucking Ninja Bread Man. This is at least like a 27 out of 100. But let's move on to our next game. I'll play this one, but if there are any game-breaking bugs, I swear to God, there's a pipe bomb with Data Design Interactive's name written on it. So, okay, just going through the tutorial again. This game is fucking identical. The music, the controls, the tutorial, and just completely advised to you the gates. The only difference is a very minor palette swap. Because at this point, I really started to question this video. Are people even going to enjoy this? I hope this is slightly more fun to watch than it was for me to play, because seriously, these games are miles worse than anything else I think I've ever touched. But before we tackle this game, this is Anubis 2, so what the fuck is Anubis 1? Well, an in-depth search revealed to me that this game doesn't have an original. This is Anubis 2, but there isn't an Anubis 1. It just doesn't exist. They wrote a sequel, not making the original first. You just can't make this up, folks. The people at Data Design Interactive are just brilliant, truly. And you know what's even better? I tried to play this game. I tried, I really did. I played through the entire
I guess
first
this is
level,
where I
which
should be. This is where I'm actually getting challenged.
on the final thing I needed,
So
causing
did
arrows
they
to
do
just
it
move
on
me in
purpose?
circles to the final area of the level. I'm upset by this. An excuse not to finish the game, but I am just in awe at how Data Design Interactive have failed to do anything like playable. It's nothing which
I'm not ready yet.
They have failed. That's a these games in the game. I missed out, really. At this point, it's not frustrating, it's just kind of impressive. But at this point, we're finally out of the gates. No. Score out of 100. We have girls racing. Z. Serious right now? There's no way they made a car racer. No way.
I need more time.
You know what? Maybe the car racers are better, right? I mean, why the fuck am I pretending? Of course, a game with an 8 out of 100 is gonna fucking suck. So for starters, you get to pick our character, and I guess I'm gonna choose her. I guess she has slightly less uncanny valley, I suppose. So apparently, you have to manually unlock all the tracks by playing this game. But let's at least start off with a small race on the opening stage to get a feel for it. Once again, you have to use motion controls, which, okay, at this point, I have fully adjusted to the utter and complete horseshit these games throw at me. And just off rip, I mean, I actually don't hate the controls. I mean, it's a little weird, not gonna lie. It's like each driver took 12 shots before the race, but with a lot of braking, it's at least functional. But you know what I looked for in a kart racer? I looked for 2 simple things: map variety and a high skill ceiling. That's it. That's all you need for me to be happy. You know how many courses this game has in total? 4 tracks. A car racer has 4 tracks. That's it. There are 4 layouts with slight reskins. What the fuck, man? And you know what the skill mechanics are for this game? Figuring out which walls are real and which walls you will just clip through because why not, man? And you know the best part of motion controls? You inevitably fuck up and slam into a wall. The game never tells you how to reverse. And when you do figure it out, you have to remember to tilt the remote in the opposite direction you think to use. It's just so impressively bad. And here's the other thing. I used every single available button, and I swear to God, I couldn't get any of the items to activate. Not that I think the items are actually
My
moved
build
into
is
the
actually
game,
working
but
like
how
it
these are
should
making
be.
them while I was driving this using the accelerator.
Actually
It just
seeing the
activates
difference
without
in the
me
pool
knowing.
that
Real
need to
begin
get.
with. It's yet another
My
simple thing the
lord,
game managed to fuck up. You don't instantly fix half the game's problems. Just letting me use the fucking keypad to steer and adding a drift. That alone fixes the overly sharp corners and
I'm not
motion
ready
controls. And the lack of skill expression. There are no highs to this. Why, medium? Why do you keep doing this to me? Hold on. You could have made a good game here pretty easily. And it seems like you put more effort into not making it good. Why have you done this? Is there some sort of hidden message I can't see? Probably not. And now, folks, for the final game that legitimately has an amazing story behind it. Ladies and gentlemen, Sugaban Shaoshu Reina. The Japanese exclusive title that sold such a minuscule amount of copies has been regarded as one of the most niche games ever made. This game sold 100 copies in its first week before all of the shelves were good, meaning to my knowledge, this game got reviewed one singular time. And to be fair, it got a 5 out of 10. One reviewer isn't enough in my opinion. And of my eyes, this game is so obscure that it never got reviewed. So this game roughly translates to President Reina, and the game's subtitle there is Cat President is looking for helpful employees. Now remember that Japanese translates to English very poorly. Being a skilled translator is not an easy task, and unfortunately for most people, you have to continually run all the dialogue to translate. I've heard rumors of a translation mod being out there for the game, but the wiki doesn't show any mod for it, so I'm not going to recommend anything. But thankfully for me, I can actually read a decent amount of Japanese, and this was my first real-world application for my skills. However, if you watch my gameplay, it's really fucking slow, and that's because I'm not good at it, and more so, I'm just kind of slow. Just in general. You know how in class the teacher would like cold call a stupid kid in the second grade reading level and you have to listen to him sound each word out? That was effectively me deciphering each and every line of this game. Now let me hit you with a little mini Japanese lesson. Japanese is separated into 3 different writing languages. First, there's hiragana, used for natively Japanese words, probably over half of the writing you'll end up doing. Then there's katakana, which is used for adapting non-Japanese words into Japanese. It is necessary because certain sounds like L's just simply don't exist in the language. Then there's kanji, which is actually natively Chinese to my knowledge, and it might be the single worst writing system ever made. Essentially, kanji are pictures meant to illustrate certain things, names, general ideas, concepts, whatever they felt like, to be honest. The problem is, there are tens of thousands of kanji out there, and they aren't particularly intuitive. A good portion of them need to be learned beforehand, so in kanji I don't know are being used in names and sentences, I have no idea what the fuck it means and I have to look it up. But here's the plot that I could figure out. This is Reina, Cat here. She's the mascot of a log company, and she's in need of an assistant, and you happen to be the candidate. And the way you prove it? By participating in various minigames to entertain Reina, and thus become her assistant. And honestly, the game's pretty funny, so let's hop into the minigames.
Why am I just getting crushed now?
Just a note on the scale, Reina starts getting increasingly pissed, even fully turning ready to beat the shit out of you. Or there's the other minigame where a bunch of fake cats and then Reina all jump at you, and I think you need to dodge them all. I'm not really sure how to play this one, to be honest. And then finally, some sort of trivia game, which is unfortunately timing-based, meaning I couldn't read everything in time, and as a result, I just guessed. Look at this outstanding one. There are 4 different options, meaning it should logically take 4-ish guesses, and I got so many in a row wrong. It's actually just kind of incredible, but this was as far as I got with the game. It was a bit taxing to play a game that wasn't in my native language, and clicking on YouTube shows me that there wasn't a whole lot more to be had with this game. But that is officially the 10 worst rated games ever made, folks. So let's review what we've learned. Never buy games with M&Ms in it. Party games with monkeys or any product under the sun label data design interactive. Yeah, remember that shit I said like 5 minutes ago? Game-breaking bugs. I swear to God, there's a pipe bomb with Data Design Interactive's name written on it.
Okay.
You thought I was joking, huh? Gross. All in one place. Yep. It's all in one. Circle the channel, folks. Got on. Let's spend a little funny.
What? Yeah.
Just accept that we're going to see shit for the next, I don't know, 20 minutes. You're working with here. I don't really know if it's just, to be honest. We'll figure it out. Always something they want to know. Who's up?
Need something blessed? Cursed, perhaps?
My belief is that
I need more time.
biological intelligent life is essentially a caterpillar. And it's a caterpillar that's making new and it doesn't even know why it's doing it, it's just doing it. That cocoon is going to give birth to artificial life, digital life. It's going to give birth to a new life. I think we're real close to that. I think we're way closer to that than most people would ever think. And I think...
But can we assign a value to that? Is that good or bad?
That's a good question. It depends. Universally, I think it's the path. I think that's what happens. I think what this thing is, if you extrapolate, if you take the concept of a sentient artificial intelligence that has the ability to utilize all the information that every human being has on Earth at a level of computing that's far beyond the capabilities of the human mind and all of our supercomputers that currently exist, because it'll design much better computers. It'll use quantum computers. It'll have the ability to recode things, change things, make better versions of itself. So instead of
I need more time.
biological evolution, which is very slow, takes a long time, it's pretty quick, really, if you think about it, like how long, it's not that long to go from a single cell organism to
I need more time.
Really, relatively, of course, a billion years. But it's slow compared to technological evolution. I mean, 100 years ago, we didn't have shit. Now we have, you can send videos from the phone, and it'll hit New Zealand in a second. It's crazy. The stuff that we have now is beyond imagination. It's essentially magic for people 100 years ago. If that keeps going, its ultimate ability to life form. And if that life form has now untethered, doesn't have any problems with biological evolution. Now it's just about information and implementing the technology that's available and increasing that technology and making it better and better. It essentially becomes a god. Because if you give it enough time, it has the ability to make better versions of itself, which will in turn make better versions of itself. It has the ability to utilize everything. It has the understanding of everything that exists in the universe. It's black hole, dark matter, everything. And it probably has the ability to harness that or even reproduce that. So if we take artificial sentient intelligence and it has this super accelerated path of technological
I
evolution.
do not have any
And you
potions.
give artificial general intelligence, sentient artificial intelligence, far beyond human beings. You give it 1,000 years alone to make better and better versions of itself. Where does that go? That goes to a god. It literally
I don't
can
so
create
what kind of God? So, like, I think of this way. So the first stage of the Industrial Revolution consisted of people building machines that were stronger than people. Right? With a steam-powered loom, sure. The backhoe, combustion engine. They replace muscles.
Right.
So that's what the machine does. It becomes stronger. Second stage consists of creating machines that are more powerful. One, that's what computing is. And I would say AI or something is just that exponential. But that doesn't make it a god in the sense that the machine, however powerful it is, any more than a backhoe is a god, because it can dig a trench faster than 100 men. It's still something that people create. So the story hasn't really changed. The center of the story are people, and their creative power may lead to unintended consequences, but the machines that they built did not make people. Did not make people. People made machines.
Right.
So but I would say the part I agree with is there's a spiritual component here for sure. People will worship AI as a god. AI, and since he was likely right, will get away from us. We will be controlled by the things we made. All those are bad. That's just bad. We need to say unequivocally it's bad. It's bad to be controlled by machines.
Right.
Machines are helpmates. Like we created them to help us, to make our lives better, not to take orders from them. So I don't know why we're not having these conversations right now. We're just acting as if this is like some kind of virus, like COVID, that spreads across the world and it's really there's nothing we can do about it. Just wait to get it. It's like, no. If we agree that the outcome is bad, and specifically it's bad for people, we should care what's good for people. That's all we should care about. Is it good for people or not? If it's bad for people, then we should strangle it in its grave right now.
Right.
I want to blow up the data centers. Like, why is that hard? If it's actually going to become what you just described, which is a threat to people and humanity, life, that we have a agent to murder it immediately, since it's not alive. Don't feel bad about that.
Well, you could say the same about the atomic bomb, right?
Yes, you could.
And you could say that we have to develop it like Oppenheimer developed, or the Nazis that they love.
How'd that work?
Well,
I love, by the way, that people on my side, I'll just admit it, on the right, have spent the last 8 years defending dropping nuclear weapons on civilians. Right. That's just like prima facie evil. You can't, well, if you hadn't done that, then this, that, and the other thing, that was actually a great savings. Like, no, it's wrong to drop nuclear weapons. And if you find yourself arguing that it's a good thing to drop nuclear weapons on people, then you are evil. Like it's not a tough one, right? It's not a hard call. It's not a hard call for me. So with that in mind, like, why would you want nuclear weapons? It's like just a mindless, childish sort of intellectual exercise to justify. How about like spending all of your effort to prevent this from happening? Which are so big to give up, famously. Right. So I don't know why we're sitting back and allowing this to happen if we really believe it will extinguish the human race or enslave the human race. How can that be good?
Well, if God creates everything, God creates the universe, God creates people, God probably creates a process. And we think that we are very important because we are very important to us. But are we very important in the universal sense? Not really. Like if the Earth just imploded and disappeared, the sun went supernova, and our whole solar system is born to this, the universe still exists.
It depends how wide you're. For sure. In our life, in the end, as Conan O'Brien, the famous philosopher, once said, every grave goes unvisited, which is true, and that's an important perspective. Love it. It doesn't really matter. No one does.
I need more time.
It's a award-winning satellite imagery. Have accessible routes and make it look procedures and nationwide private land. Stand up as your team. You find more access to everyone. Ready for free. Nothing like your entire garage. Exclusive discounts on American-made parts and gear for your favorite automotive. Get equipped.
I need more time. I need more time.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates from Microsoft. This video is going to see the future. It's 2009. Things are flying. Everything has this aesthetic, and Microsoft has just announced a groundbreaking piece of tech. Utilizing the latest advancements in motion capture, Project Natal, as it was initially, was a new device for the Xbox that aimed to bring audiences over in their laughter. The main goal of Natal was to bring families into the game operation by taking controllers out of it, and this resulted in an intuitive, adaptable experience that made it easy for anyone to grab. For 2009, it was pretty damn impressive, and in the eyes of many consumers, it made Sony and Nintendo's motion tech look kind of obsolete. But that night at E3, Microsoft would manage to continue the hype train. You see, after the unveiling of Project Natal, another speaker would take the stage to present a tech demo for Microsoft's new hardware. Well, that's what it's like. That's Peter Molyneux, game designer for the Fable series and former creative director at Microsoft. And what he's about to share with this audience at E3 will echo in eternity as one of the most intentionally deceitful unveilings in Microsoft's history. In his presentation, Peter claims to have developed an experience with Natal that he thinks will fulfill every gamer's lifelong dream. To build an innocent and intimate relationship with Nintendo. You guys just think we'll in the demo, Peter introduces us to Pocket Milo, a game about a boy that can supposedly see. Here you can actually get to know them. By making use of the Natal hardware, Peter demonstrates how players can see and interact with nations, giving the impression that the character on the screen is somehow capable of independent thought.
They always say they're big benefits, and the emotionally Milo's face, and that emotion reflecting in Milo's face.
I'm not ready.
Being seen twice.
At first glance, it looks quite impressive, but in the way Peter describes it, this team had just stumbled on the means of creating sentient AI. And something tells me that's kind of what he wanted us to think.
I'm not
What's
ready.
worse is that one look back at the comment section for this presentation proves that we were all right. Of course, there were skeptics, but for the majority, people really thought Milo was a game changer. Literally. I mean,
audiences were more excited for this game than the actual hardware it was demoed for. Not to mention the potential of this kind of AI had for countless genres of the
I'm
industry.
not ready yet.
The problem? It was all really bullshit. The demo was fake, the actor was acting, and Peter was essentially lying to us.
I'm not ready yet.
No, I'm just kidding. He was. He totally was. And this was most certainly not the first time. You see, Peter was notorious throughout the industry for promising, exaggerating, and flat-out lying about upcoming games. I mean, you could probably score the rest of this video with the flight of the bumblebee, and it would match the tone for the level of chaos this man has caused. But Milo was his magnum opus, a lie so deceitful that it crossed the point of outrage to just actually being kind of impressive. By utilizing his arsenal of clever word choice alongside demo footage that mainly consisted of smoke and mirrors, Peter managed to convince an entire generation of gamers that he had developed the technology 50 years ahead of his time. What would ensue is a roller coaster ride of PR shenanigans, miscommunication, backpedaling, and deception that would ultimately come down to nothing. But to understand how this happened in the first place, we take a look back at the documents. Peter. Okay. After founding Bullfrog Productions in 1987, the head version game design with a focus on Operation Sales. You know the ones, those top-down games with disembodied hands that control everything in the game.
I'm not ready yet.
And ultimately, the state that allowed us now for ideation. Not. It's over the dungeon. Our entire idea. Clarity. Which ultimately define the scope for what games could actually be about, and usually with outstanding results. During his time at Bullfrog, making leaps and bounds in the simulation space, no doubt was fully a notion of artificial intelligence
I'm not ready
and his invention of the full-on game genre. The mention of their print publisher Electronic Arts to acquire them. Unfortunately, Peter's acquisition changed the way Bullfrog developed games, and Peter was unsatisfied with the changes and left the studio in '97 to pursue
I'm not ready
invention.
yet.
After finding the studio, he can't move on to the next game. But there, he spent a sizable
I'm not ready
money.
yet.
After 3 years of development, Black and White released in March of 2001 and was met with widespread critical acclaim. The game was praised heavily for its accomplishments in artificial intelligence, even appearing in the 2003 Guinness World Records for having
I need more time.
So, that same year, launched a research project. The goal of their effort was to develop a game that was smarter than anything ever seen on the market. A game that appears to
I need more
eventually
time.
become the project.
I'm not ready yet.
For a guy that
I'm not ready yet.
and this problem is certainly evident throughout his career. He had already begun developing a reputation for himself as somewhat of an honest,
I'm not ready yet.
notorious for making outlandish claims about features that would be games. Later confessed making up music on the spot just to secure
I'm not ready yet.
and that problem only grew worse when his company released Fate. To build excitement, he also made false promises for Fate, which ultimately that just happened to fall flat because of heightened expectations. Some may write this behavior off as a passionate game designer getting overly excited about his game, but no matter how you twist it, Big Mouth was just plain unprofessional and was starting to affect his reputation. After Microsoft acquired Lionhead in 2005, the suits would attempt to remedy this cloud by using a PR program that all this was done to ensure that himself.
I'm not ready yet.
Shooting dragons with the law is obviously lots of missions like that. Is that
I need more time.
By now, well, how does Milo do this? And you'd be right to ask. Sometime in 2007, after many years of experimenting, Peter had finally found some direction for Project Dimitri. For roughly 6 years, Lionhead's research into AI game systems had never actually resulted in a game. Sure, many newer advancements made into other games as features, but nothing quite managed to harness all of their efforts into one single title. And now, with pressure from Microsoft to actually return results, finally turned his passion project into profit. So, in 2007, Peter pitched a brand new idea to his associate Gary Hall, who was then an executive producer at Microsoft. This new idea would build on everything the team had worked on with Project Dimitri, but under a completely new name. You see, by 2007, kind of a bad contract line and had become somewhat synonymous with bigger. So,
I'm not ready.
now, Project adventure protagonist. Development simulations. This, of course, took Peter's usual formula of population-based sims. Instead of a simulation involving multiple, Project Milo was just one. And your actions in the game would determine who the would be. It was basically a glorified parenting sim, except instead of taking the role of an actual parent, you were more of a friend, mentor, slave. I mean, the first prototype literally just had you doing Milo's chores, and from what I've learned, it didn't sound incredibly impressive. But, according to Peter, Project Milo was utilizing an impressive display of AI technology, combining advancements made with Project Dimitri alongside Microsoft's own research. It was something Peter felt incredibly proud of, leading him to suggest in an interview that their achievements could eventually find on the front page of Science magazine. An important thing to note was that until this point, Project Milo was strictly being developed for use with the controller, and there was absolutely no development of Project Natal up to this point. That was until 2008, when one of Peter's associates at Microsoft spilled the beans. Turns out, a group of Microsoft engineers had been working closely with an Israeli tech company to bring motion sensing hardware to the Xbox 360. This technology was first introduced to the world at the 2006 Game Developers Conference by a company called PrimeSense. But showed promise when it was illustrated with PrimeSense's earliest concept video. And while many of its demonstrations were impressive, the production quality was very currency. The electronics technology truly is unheard of. Every class concept through realization. So many of our instructors, electronics, automation, all of the other programs
there is worth the coin.
Here, you're an FAA-certified
Anything great,
program.
the forge is
Our
hot.
graduates are able to walk straight into industry positions across the country.
Can I help you? Anything else? Fair trade.
Especially you're all known. Project Milo to create this new hardware, which Microsoft had codenamed where players could actually speak to Milo and talk, and Milo would ideally respond back. Microsoft and for roughly the next year and a half, they would double the size of their team to help steer Project Milo in this new direction. This would set off the chain of events that would eventually lead to Peter's infamous demo at E309. Contrary to popular belief, Project Milo was not entirely as misleading as it was. The video Peter showed at E3 was fabrication because Lionhead was really working words, recognize the color of your clothing, and even interpret the tone of your voice. This was all real technology that the Lionhead team was working on, and it was all really being done with Project Natal. The problem? It was still pretty janky. Developers who worked on the project admitted that it was a challenge to demonstrate the game live, and players could very easily break the illusion of Milo's sentience if they wished to do so. What made this situation more dire was the fact that later that year, Project Milo was set to be unveiled at E3 alongside Natal. So, how would they do it? Well, they'd stage it, of course. I mean, was it really that big of a lie as long as the game was actually being developed?
Well, yes, especially when you consider the way the demo was fabricated. Just a few weeks before E3, Lionhead would hire an actress to help stage their presentation. Aspects of it purposes ensuring a
I need more time.
these that were Milo's demo made implications that grossly exaggerated the capabilities of the actual product. And this was the factor that ultimately landed Peter in such hot water. Now, let's jump back to E3 2009, where Microsoft has just finished unveiling Project Natal for the first time. The tech is impressive and kind of steals the show from Sony, who unveiled a Next to take the stage is Peter, who I can only assume is engaged in some sort of weird pre-show ritual behind the curtains. Very amateur. I mean, you guys would look crazy and stuff like this in front of the entire gaming industry. So, Peter makes his presentation and introduces Milo to the world.
Hi, Milo. How you doing? I'm well. Okay. It's been a bit nervous.
I need more time.
Nervous? I don't believe it.
On first watch, the video actually looks convincing, but as we come to find, Peter is using a piece of both deceptive gameplay footage and clever language to deceive the viewer.
I need more time.
The interactions presented in the video make the implication that players can have complex, flowing conversations with one, and can come to form deep personal relationships with them.
I didn't think it's made to let me beat you at football again. Finish your own. Finish just leave from there.
What happened there?
I need
The
more time.
player knew Milo so well. She knew he was worried about something.
Of course, as you could probably tell, this entire interaction is scripted. There's even moments in the video where Milo appears to remember seemingly impressive details about the actress's personal life.
Science fiction is not
Milo just on a whim remembered Claire's mom's birthday, which once again tries to reinforce the idea that the two actually have a relationship. But on the video, Milo appears to be a pawn that has false capabilities. I'm sure Milo showed up. Yet, for some reason,
I need more time.
was fake. But one closer inspection, the characters are not entirely the same.
I need more time.
And quickly becomes Exhibit A for many skeptics trying to develop on.
I need more time.
Glaring oversights of the whole video is actually a matter of perspective. Let me explain. It's why paintings like the Mona Lisa always watching.
I need more time.
Once again, as the entire fabric. What
I need more time. I need more time.
Slightly inside Claire. As you can probably tell so far, none of the aspects of the video were actually real. Shocker, yeah. And even if certain footage represented aspects of the game that did work, it was far easier to Milo within sequence. No. And funnily enough,
I need more time.
Milo has a clarity map to recognize the choice on the camera. Learn to identify specific objects.
I'm not ready.
That's that. Of course,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
But the time in which they chose to present that, it would have been told misled outpouring as minds of others. I mean, if I was like not itself, but technology as a whole, only true. It's likely journalists to actually meet Milo and themselves, and this is where it started. While the death of was impressive, many playtesters to see this race.
I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I have no potions. I have no potions.
In fact, why would someone tell him didn't understand his focus on nod or shake his head, which made many attempts at communication kind of fall flat. If you tried to tell him a joke, sometimes Milo took the tone of your voice and interpreted it as such, permitting laughter. Of course, Milo didn't actually get the joke and wouldn't comment on it in any way, but it was part of the illusion that he was trying to convey. Most journalists remarked on how if you played Milo by the rules, you could actually have conversations with him. But many attempt to go off script would be but the journalist's impressions didn't really do much to quell the excitement of the game. Just like any hype train, once it gets going, it's kind of hard to stop. So, 2009 ends. Microsoft was still enthusiastic journalists chomping at the bit for details about Milo and Paul. Excitement is palpable.
So, tell me more about your role with Project Natal.
I'm essentially the technical director for the technology that you saw. So from our perspective,
I need more time.
Rest assured, that's kind of sad. What is it? Well,
I'm not ready yet.
What I Milo
I need more time. I need more time.
the Milo project was something that Lionhead Studios and their labs had developed, and obviously that's a tech demo and technology that continues to exist. But right now, it's not a game that we're planning to bring to market.
That was a PR executive for Microsoft who made that statement sometime in 2009. People on record to put on the second announcing these statements. Career depending on the past at Microsoft, the answer on Project Milo was completely different. Behind the scenes, it was in a sort of power struggle with the higher ups at Microsoft. After roughly 2 years of development, Project Milo, now called Milo, was expected to Microsoft. But yet, it felt that
time.
downgrading the device's processor, which subsequently errored slowly. Fast forward to 2010, and things are wondering when they'll ever get an update on how to know. And finally, after over a year of anticipation, this update, which was already a really, really bad sign. If Microsoft actually had realistic plans for this Milo, they would have announced it at E3 year. But clearly, police had reached a level of uncertainty that could no longer justify a feature at the event. So instead, Peter opts to quietly demo the game at TED Global in what could be seen as one of the most egregious attempts at backpedaling I have ever seen. I mean, what Peter demonstrates to the crowd at TED Global is almost a completely different game from what he showed fans the year before. And the way he introduces it just makes it all the worse.
So, a year ago, I showed this off at a computer show called E3.
Really, Peter? Rather a full attempt to video.
You sure?
I'm not ready yet.
This was a technology
I'm not ready yet.
So I wasn't.
I'm not ready yet.
Audacity to try and put a bow on the whole thing by pinpointing his team's one sole goal.
Just to get one simple idea. Great for living being.
Oh yeah, Peter, that one simple idea? You mean the idea that modern technology hasn't even come close to cracking? The idea that could one day lead to technological singularity, subsequently blurring the definition of what it actually means to be human? Found that on Xbox 360. Listen, I really tried to cut Peter some slack in this video, but the way he talks about creating Milo like he's some sort of 21st century Geppetto is just really, really annoying. He even tries to redeem himself with what appears to be some newfound attempt at transparency.
Now, I'll be honest with you and say that most of it
Oh,
There's a reason I'm spending so much time on this intro. I mean, with every sentence, Peter just finds a way to make himself into a
now. This is Dimitri.
this is like project. Turns out this part isn't a apparently the original project was the spawn site for time. Now, honest now, and there's one right off the bat. If you don't
I've been starting from nothing.
explain why, finally, that.
oh.
Let's check it out.
So, discovering the garden or helping you discover the garden by just pointing out these snares.
So the demo finally begins, and what we appear to get is some sort of on-rails snail spawning simulator. It's It's a bizarre way to start, especially considering the bold claims Peter made about Milo. As the camera rolls along, Milo finds another snail on the ground, at which point Milo encounters his first test of morality. Turns out Milo has a thirst for blood and sadism, and toys with the idea of squishing the snail underneath his shoe. At this point, it's prompted to either encourage Milo's behavior or stop him.
Squash. Oh, I squashed it.
That was unexpected. But doesn't come as a surprise is how the voice recognition system has changed. You'll notice that in this new demo, there are explicit prompts for when you actually speak to Milo. Of course, this wildly contradicts Peter's first demo, in which it's heavily implied that speech is free-flowing and spontaneous. At this point, the presentation continues for another 6 or 7 minutes, where Peter demos a handful of other incredibly boring minigames. But what
Where the
makes it
hell
funny
is
how these demos I long-read posts of how the game is so much more sophisticated than it actually looks.
Space, by the way, is fully AI driven. We have complete control over his blush responses, the diameter of his nostril. His mind is based on a cloud. Looking forward, he looks like changed the neurolinguistic nature of his face. We're actually sculpting. We've got a database of words which we recognize, we read those words out, we also reference that nation database.
In all honesty, I would imagine the audience was bored to death by this presentation. After 3 years of development, the game just looks so incredibly underwhelming, and one can come to understand why Microsoft felt the same way. This is also made evident by the presentation's view count, which is dwarfed in comparison to the millions of views garnered by the first demo. So it may come as no surprise to learn that shortly after this presentation was made, Microsoft would permanently shut down development for Milo 8. This was, of course, due to a multitude of different factors, and can't be simply
where
attributed to one
are...
reason.
I'll
Speculation
keep my forge hot.
the fact that
Return
Milo was
soon.
developed during a time when still trying to
I'm looking at the
understand
wrong
its target
screen.
audience. Microsoft thought the target demographics engaged in party settings, which kind of put Milo's mellow, single-player game-like into an awkward category. It's also fair to speculate that Microsoft closed development due to false expectations surrounding the game, which were set so high by Peter's outlandish claims. Whatever the reasons, the news came as a devastating blow. Incredibly excited about what they had built up then. Regardless of there was formidable voice. Initially, Peter Molyneux swore up and down that the game would not be an on-rails experience, but on release, find that explanation.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet.
What is the
Make
matter?
sure it will solve just as well by introducing new anti-piracy measures. But we're sure the team didn't expect their efforts to be so effective that TUI is often touted as the most copy-protected N64 title in the entire system's library. In fact, the ROM for Badger TUI wasn't entirely cracked until December 2012, over 12 years after its release. Although TUI could be played relatively issue-free on Nintendo 64 emulators on PC, prior to December 2012, the game wouldn't work properly on flashcards like EverDrive. This is partly the result of ships and the like, but it's also due to the game having many checks. First best checks with the correct save type. Badger 2 uses a 2 KB EEPROM, but if the save type of the game is incorrect, or there simply is no save chip present on the game's cartridge, the game acts as if there's no control plugged in. This means no buttons will respond, and a no controller message will display on the screen. The second level of copy protection comes in the form of a CIC lockout chip, which the game checks for.
With NTSC copies of the game, check and see if a CIC NUS 6105 chip is present, and PAL copies looking out for a CIC NUS 7. This check is done by using the challenge response feature found in chips, which Banjo Tooie makes it very useful to grab gameplay. Checks. Responses from the CIC chip are used to encrypt files associated with the game's assets. So if any of these checks end up failing, the game can't decrypt the data and will be unable to load required assets into the game. This results in all manner of crashes, and since this happens times throughout the game, it's essentially like, if you're not familiar with Nintendo 64 antivirus, then you might be asking yourself, what the hell is this? Well, it's a fascinating series of chips that many N64 games use. So, I'm going to briefly explain how it works.
Yes, I have wares. I'll see you again.
However, it opened for the masses to play downloaded ROMs. For the N64, Nintendo didn't stray too far from the measures they already knew, and continued to utilize CIC. Presentation was made. Instead of the N64 including a corresponding CIC chip, it instead used a PIF bus. This handled the system's initial boot code for the system, as well as handling controller inputs. But mostly, it handled security on the console. It checks if a cartridge contains the correct CIC chip, thus checking if it's been pirated, and that it's a cartridge with the same region as the console. With the SNES, it became simple enough to disable the circuit which the CIC in both the cartridges and the system utilized, but the N64 now had a chip which handled multiple functions and didn't work in sync with the chip on the cartridge. This means that if the chip is running